As most of you would be aware, the Ramayana is one of the two major epics which came out of India. It is very closely associated and identified with the idea of Indian culture and our value system. It is based on the life of Lord Rama, the Prince of Ayodhya. It is understood that the epic was composed by the great sage Maharishi Valmiki, and it basically revolves around the story of Lord Rama, the Prince of Ayodhya, whose wife Sita was abducted by the demon king Ravana, and of course it relates how she is rescued, and in the course of the story the entire relationship, the value system and the ideals which are personified by Lord Ram come out. With minor variations, the same Ramayana is in fact seen in many other countries, particularly in Southeast Asia, and in Thailand itself the version of the Ramayana is known as Ramakien, and Ramakien in turn of course has greatly influenced and inspired the great classical corn dance of Thailand. According to one version, it is understood that the Ramayana was written not only by sage Valmiki but also by Hanuman himself, the Lord Hanuman, who is also considered as Lord Rama's greatest devotees. So as Valmiki reads through Hanuman's Ramayana, he sees the story through Hanuman's compassionate eyes. So today's show, Ramayana through the lens of compassion, is a collaborative effort by two visual artists, Mrs.Usha Venkatraman and Mrs.Anupama Devarajan, who bring this legend to life through the visual effects of storytelling, dance, puppet and music, of course. So I'm very happy that the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in Bangkok has organized this program, as the Ramayana is a very important cultural and religious link between India and Thailand. In which other country in the world can you find the past capital of Thailand was in fact known as Ayodhya. So that is the kind of connect that India and Thailand enjoy. Additionally, today's program is also organized on the very auspicious occasion of Ram Navami, which is considered as and celebrated all over India and many other countries as the day which marks the birth of Lord Rama. So I would like to take this occasion to wish everyone a very happy Ram Navami. इस पावन पर्व के शुभ अवसर पर मैं आप सबको बधाई देती हूँ. धन्यवाद. नमस्कार.
नमस्कार. कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलं वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलं. Valmiki, the bard, finally put down his stylus and heaved a sigh of great relief. He had finished writing his epic story Valmiki's Ramayana, meaning Valmiki's story of Ram. Mighty pleased, he wanted to take it not only to everyone in the world, but especially to Narad, the ultimate critic. Narad lived in the abode of Vishnu in Vaikuntham. Narad was in deep meditation, chanting Narayana's name when Valmiki reached. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Narayana, Narayan, welcome Valmiki. What brings you to Vaikuntham? My pranams to you, Narad. You see, I have written the story of Ram. I want you to take a look at my Ramayana, my story, and give me your expert opinion. Narad took Valmiki's story, read through it, and exclaimed, "Nice, very nice. You see, Valmiki, I have read another story of Ram." Another story? Valmiki was a little shocked and surprised. He thought he had written a unique story. Who has written this another story? Well, it is Hanuman. Hanuman? No. It can't be. Hanuman is a character in my story. Hanuman freed Sita Maya from captivity. Hanuman can leap across the sea, build bridges, fight wars, lift mountains. But an author? Yes, Valmiki, it is Hanuman indeed who has written the story of Ram. I have a suggestion for you. Why don't you take your story to Hanuman and show it to him, and I'm sure Hanuman will share his story with you. Where will I find Hanuman? Travel northwards to the foothills of the Himalayas, and there, between two great mountains, is a warm valley, and in that valley is a banana orchard, and you will find Hanuman there, said Narad. After saluting Narad, Valmiki took his leave and began his long and arduous journey to the foothills of the Himalayas. It took him 30 long days and 30 long nights. The path was steep, rocky, with craggy mountains, pathways, howling winds, sleet, rain. Valmiki weathered all the storm and reached the foothills. And there, just like Narad said, between two great mountains was a warm valley, and in that valley he found the banana orchard. As he entered, it was paradise. Everywhere Valmiki looked, there were purple flowers, green leaves, yellow fruits. Valmiki was pretty tired after his long journey. He sat down, picked up a few bananas, was about to peel and eat them when his glance fell on a few banana leaves fluttering in the wind. There appeared to be something different. On the smooth green surface, there appeared to be scratch marks. Intrigued, Valmiki went up to the leaves, gathered the 7 banana leaves, brought them closer, and as he looked at it intently, he realized they were nail marks. Letters, words, sentences, a story. He was like a thirsty man. When he finds water, he gulps it and quenches his thirst. Valmiki quickly glanced through every line, every turn of phrase, every punctuation mark. He did not want to miss a single word or a sentence. And as he came to the end of the story, Valmiki was weeping, crying. He realized it was the story of Ram. And he knew it was Hanuman's Ramayana. Never had he read a story so beautifully written. As he sat down in that banana grove, Valmiki took out his own story, his epic poem, and began to look at it with fresh eyes. And as the story unfolded before him, here the story goes. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in the faraway kingdom of Kosala, bordered by rivers and forests, ruled the illustrious king Dasharatha. Although everything was seemingly prosperous, in the capital city of Ayodhya, there was an underlying unhappiness in the palace. King Dasharatha had no children, no heir to take over the throne of Ayodhya.
Mashilayodhiyin Mannan Dasharathan King Dasharath decided to perform the Putra Kameshti Yagam for progeny. Mashilayodhiyin Mannan Dasharathan Matavatal Vanda Maindane Mashilayodhiyin Mannan Dasharathan Matavatal Vanda Maindane. In due course, the king and his 3 queens were blessed with 4 baby boys. The entire kingdom rejoiced and celebrated. Raja Dasharath ke mehlon mein janam liya Shri Ram ji. Raja Dasharath ke mehlon mein janam liya Shri Ram ji. Raja Dasharath ke mehlon mein janam liya Shri Ram ji. Mata Kausalya ke jaaye sundar balak roop suhaye. Mata Kausalya ke jaaye sundar balak roop suhaye. Mata Kausalya ke jaaye sundar balak roop suhaye. Bhumi bhar haran ko aaye milkar sakhiyan gaave geet. Bhumi bhar haran ko aaye milkar sakhiyan gaave geet. Ghar ghar aado Ram ji. Ghar ghar aado Ram ji. Ghar ghar
With the birth of the 4 boys, finally the future of Ayodhya was secure. The boys grew up not only as brothers but as dear friends and were trained in Arthashastra as per the norms prescribed for young prince. One day, the great sage Vishwamitra arrived at the palace of King Dasharath. He wanted to take Ram with him to the forest to vanquish the vicious Yakshini Tataka. Dasharath's heart was heavy. He did not want to part with his favorite son, but he knew he had to let him go. But Ram was accompanied by Lakshmana. Lakshmana was inseparable from Ram. Wherever Ram went, Lakshmana followed. So both the boys, the young prince, accompanied the great sage Vishwamitra to the forest.
Vadhoni tatika subahu hi dekh vadhoni tatika subahu hi dekh dim 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 dim
Sage Vishwamitra was mighty pleased with the courage and skill shown by the two young princes in vanquishing all the demons. Rama also gave moksham to Ahalya. Under Sage Vishwamitra's tutelage, Rama learnt the art of invincibility in the battle. Sage Vishwamitra also taught both Rama and Lakshmana to focus their mind and how to center their energy, and taught them tactical skills and strategies of warfare. Once the boys finished their training, Sage Vishwamitra took them on a journey to Videha. Being a soothsayer, Vishwamitra knew the future of Rama. So both the young prince Ram and Lakshman followed Vishwamitra to the kingdom of Mithila, ruled by the great philosopher king Janaka. Once they arrived in Mithila, they found the city was abuzz with celebrations. And then they found out that Sita, the daughter of Janaka, Swayamvar was being held the next day. A mighty task was set for all the suitors. They had to lift the great Shiv Dhanush, which lay in the center of the palace courtyard, and to string it. Kings, princes from near and far away kingdoms and some from overseas had come to win the fair maiden's hand in marriage. And so Valmiki reminisces about Sita's Swayamvara.
जन परिवार भरित
After the grand wedding in Mithila, the princesses accompany their husbands to Ayodhya, leaving their home in Mithila. Not only does Sita get married to Rama, but also her three sisters to Bharata, Lakshmana, and Shatrughna. Many happy years pass by in Ayodhya. One day, the aging Dasharatha realizes and decides it is time for Rama to be crowned as the Prince of Ayodhya. Preparations are underway. The whole city of Ayodhya wears a festive air about it. People from the nearby and faraway corners of the kingdom of Kosala arrive in the city of Ayodhya to witness Ram's coronation. The entire city is spruced up. Every street is sprinkled with perfumed water. Houses are decorated with flowers. Garlands are strung around every pillar and post. Everyone wears festive clothes, colorful clothes. And children, they laugh. Their laughter rings out in the streets of Ayodhya. There is music, dancing, and laughter in the entire city. Not a single pair of hand is idle, except for one maiden, who happens to be Manthara. Manthara, the hunchback handmaiden of Queen Kaikeyi, is not happy. Her heart is heavy with sadness. She doesn't want Ram to be the crown prince of Ayodhya. Certainly not. She plots and schemes and poisons Queen Kaikeyi's mind against Ram. Poor Kaikeyi succumbs to Manthara's machinations and falls victim to her evil entrapment. Manthara reminds Kaikeyi about the two boons that King Dasharatha owes her. This leads to the confrontation of Queen Kaikeyi with King Dasharatha in her chambers. When Dasharatha hears about Kaikeyi's demands, he is devastated. She has two conditions. The first one, her son Bharata to be crowned as the Prince of Ayodhya and Ram to be banished to the forest for 14 years of exile. When Dasharatha hears this, he is completely heartbroken and lies down broken on the floor of Kaikeyi's chamber. Rama, being the Maryada Purushottam that he is, agrees to his mother's demands and gets ready to leave the kingdom of Ayodhya for the forest. Rama is accompanied by his beautiful wife Sita and his younger brother Lakshman. Much against the wishes of the people of Ayodhya, Ram, along with Sita and Lakshmana, leave the city and reach the shores of Sarayu river, where Guhan, the king of the Nishadas, the boatman, is waiting to ferry them across to the other side. As they enter the boat, the gentle waters of the Sarayu river laps against the boat. La 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 Rama. La 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 Rama. After crossing the river Sarayu, The three of them go towards Chitrakoot. The gentle slopes of Chitrakoot, with its meandering meadows and groves, is a beautiful place where Ram, Sita and Lakshman camp in the first leg of their journey. They discard their princely clothes and don the simple clothes of the forest beings. And here in the gentle Chitrakoot hills, Bharat Milap happens. Bharata, the younger brother of Rama, comes to meet Rama. And here Rama deputes him to hold the kingdom in trust for him till his return. So Bharata becomes the proxy ruler of Ayodhya till Rama's exile. From the gentle slopes of Chitrakoot, the three of them walk southwards into the dreaded Dandaka forest. Valmiki describes the forest as indescribably beautiful, with trees, bisons, deers, boars, all birds, trees, water lilies. The whole place is beautiful, and this is where Ram, Sita and Lakshmana spend 10 years of their exile. Life is normal here, among the ashrams of the rishis and in their company. In the 13th year, they decide to move southwards to Panchavati. There on the banks of the river Godavari, Lakshmana finds the exact spot to build a small hut, not too far away from the banks of the river and not too far away from the forest. A lovely garden surrounds this hut, where Sita plays with the deer that come to feed, the birds that sing and perch on the trees and flowers in the garden. But danger lurks close by. This is the beginning of Sita's misfortune. Enters Surpanaka, the sister of the 10-headed demon Ravana. thus humiliated under the hands of Lakshmana, Surpanaka runs away from Panchavati, promising retribution and revenge for her humiliation. She runs to her brother, the 10-headed demon Ravana, the ruler of Lanka, and at Ravana's behest enters his uncle Marich, disguised as the golden stag, with the intention of abducting Sita. Ravana takes this opportunity when Ram and Lakshmana are away chasing the golden deer Marich. He comes disguised as a mendicant, begging for alms and food. Bhavati bhikshan dehi, bhavati bhikshan dehi.
Bhavati bhikshanehi, bhavati bhikshanehi, kapata sannyasi yagavand ravanan. Bhavati bhikshanehi, bhavati bhikshanehi, bhavati bhikshanehi, kapata sannyasi yagavand ravanan janakiyai kondu sennan kapata sannyasi yagavand ravanan janakiyai kondu sennan. Tarita dhanata dhanata chodata chodata dimita ta te ta tarita dhanata dhanata chodata chodata dimita ta te tan tana tarigadom tan chodu tarigadom tan dimi tarigadom ta kita tarigadom tan tani tan tana tan chodu tan dimi 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 tan kita tarigadom ta tan kita tarigadom te tan kita tarigadom ta.
Rama and Lakshmana, after slaying Marij, returned to the hut on the banks of the river Godavari. They don't find Sita in the hut. Rama searches for her high and low and asks all the neighboring creatures in the forest if they have seen his Janaki. He asks every bird, every tree, every bush, every animal, even the smallest of earth's creatures, the insects, every bug, beetle, ant, and pachyderm. Deranged, Rama asks them if they have seen his Janaki. Heartbroken at getting no answer, Rama and Lakshmana wander deeper into the Dandaka forest. And there they come across the wounded Jatayu, the vulture lying broken with one wing on the forest floor. And Jatayu tells Rama about the evil Ravana who abducted Sita and how he valiantly fought to save Sita. Rama comforts Jatayu and gives Jatayu moksha. And suddenly the pieces of the puzzle of Sita's disappearance falls into place. Rama and Lakshmana wander to the edge of the Dandaka forest and they reach Kishkinda, the land of Kishkinda, and here Rama meets Hanuman. A great friendship develops here. Hanuman takes Rama to meet Sugriva and a great friendship takes place. Ram helps Sugriv to slay Vali and Sugriva promises Rama to send his army, his Vanarasena, to search for the missing queen Sita. Hanuman, along with Angada, are deputed southwards to go in search of Sita. And this is where Valmiki looks at his Sundarakandam.
Rama Lakshmana Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki. 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 रूप धरिते यही दिखावा, सूक्ष्म 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 रूप धरिते यही दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा, 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 भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की
கண்டேன் 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 சீதையை ராகவா கண்டேன் 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 சீதையை கண்டேன் ராகவா நான் கண்டேன் 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 சீதையை கண்டேன் ராகவா கண்டரும் காணாத லங்காபுரிய கண்டரும் காணாத லங்காபுரிய அரவிந்த வேதாவை தர வந்த மாதாவை கண்டேன் 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 சீதையை கண்டேன் ராகவா
After Hanuman's return from Lanka, it is very clear that the only answer is war. So preparations are made underway for the war between Sugriva's Vanarasena and Ravana's Rakshasas, the demons. The great Setu Bandhan is built, the bridge across the sea from Dhanushkodi to Lanka is built. On the eve of the war, somebody from the enemy camp comes running to Rama's camp. And here the great bard Valmiki describes Rama's pledge. Rama says, O Sugriva, the king of the monkeys, pay heed. Even if it is Ravana or Vibhishana who come to seek refuge from me, I will offer him complete protection from all the enemies. Because once somebody surrenders, I offer them my protection. So says the great Maryada Purushottam Ram. We all know that Ravana doesn't surrender. It is his younger brother Vibhishana who comes to take refuge. And then the great battle between Rama and the 10-headed Lankeshwar takes place. The war rages for many days and months, and finally the good wins over the evil. Ravana is defeated and Ram is victorious. He is reunited with his wife Sita. Amidst great celebrations in Lanka, Vibhishana is enthroned as the king of Lanka. And Vibhishana gives his beautiful chariot, Pushpaka Vimanam, to Ram, Sita and Lakshmana to return to Ayodhya. Of course, Hanuman also follows them, and all four of them fly across the forests and the plains to reach Ayodhya, where Bharata is waiting anxiously, expectantly for Ram's return to take over the kingdom of Ayodhya. Rama's Pattabhishekam takes place in Ayodhya, and beautifully Valmiki describes the beginning of Ram Rajya.
आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी प्राणनाथ रघुनाथ मुरारी प्राणनाथ रघुनाथ मुरारी आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी शुक नारद मुनि सादर गावे शुक नारद मुनि सादर गावे भरत शत्रुघ्न चवन डुलावे भरत शत्रुघ्न चवन डुलावे आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी पीतवसन वै जयन्ती माला पीतवसन वै जयन्ती माला मेघवरन तनु नयन विशाला मेघवरन तनु नयन विशाला आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी छत्र धरत है लक्ष्मण भ्राता छत्र धरत है लक्ष्मण भ्राता आरती करत है कौसल्य माता आरती करत है कौसल्य माता आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी सम्मुख शरण रहे हनुबीरा सम्मुख शरण रहे हनुबीरा बार बार गुण गावे कबीरा बार बार गुण गावे कबीरा आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी प्राणनाथ रघुनाथ मुरारी प्राणनाथ रघुनाथ मुरारी आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी जय जय आरती राम तुम्हारी
Thus, the great bard Valmiki reminisces his story of the unparalleled hero, the Maryada Purushottam, Ram. It is evening time in the banana grove, in the beautiful valley between two lofty mountains at the foothills of the great Himalayan ranges. Tears are coursing down Valmiki's cheeks when he senses a presence of another behind his shoulder. He gently turns and looks around, and he sees an old monkey standing behind him. "I'm Hanuman, sir. Why do you cry? I am the servant of Ram. Perhaps I can help you," says the great Hanuman. "Oh Hanuman, I am Valmiki. These are tears of joy. You see, I have been reading your story etched on these 7 banana leaves, and the story is moved me to tears, tears of joy. Thank you. Yet I am sad. You see, Hanuman, I too have written the story of the young prince of Ayodhya. But your story is way better than mine. Having read your story, I know no one will read mine, and this makes me sad. Hanuman looks at Valmiki just like a mother would look at her child, tenderly. He slowly gathers all the 7 banana leaves on which his story is etched. And within a fraction of a second, he tears them to 10,000 tiny pieces, rounds them up into a ball, and swallows it whole. What have you done, Hanuman? What have you done? You've destroyed your story. Why? Why? You see, Valmiki, you needed your story more than I did. You wanted to take it round the world and to show it to all the people. But you see, Valmiki, I wrote my story so I could think of Ram. But Ram is in me. I don't need the story, said the great compassionate Hanuman. And after imparting this wisdom to Valmiki, he gently disappears in the forest in the evening dusk, singing, Andare Ram, Bahir Ram, Andare Ram, Bahir Ram, जहाँ देखे वहाँ राजा ही राम, गुरु कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही, गुरु कृपांजन पायो मेरे भाई, पायो रे मेरे भाई.